Hi there, I'm Danielle Armstrong, and this is Adrienne Marsh. We are here to talk about the basics of Nordic walking. We both were certified through RPA's Nordic walking certification program, and both see the benefit to recreation in Whitehorse and the surrounding areas. So we just wanted to share some tips today. I'm going to speak, and Adrienne is going to do the demonstrations. All right, the origins of Nordic walking come from skiing. So this was basically developed for skiers to cross-train in the off-season. There are so many benefits and improvements to Nordic walking, including increased upper body strength. We have increased heart and lung capacity, better balance and stability. There are also a whole bunch of wonderful things to relieve pressure on our joints, up to 30% less pressure than with walking or running alone. And it's very simple. We have a small amount of equipment needed. We need our poles. We need proper footwear and proper clothing for whatever weather conditions you're going to be outside in. For this class, we're going to use the standard level flat terrain surface, which basically you want to have about a 90-degree angle with your forearms when you place the poles back at the back of your heels. It can be on a slight upward angle, depending on your preference. Okay, Adrienne's going to show you some of the baskets and tips that you can use on different terrain while you're out Nordic walking. Okay, so the first one here we're going to show you is going to be a snow and mud basket, which is basically the big round one that has holes inside. They just rotate onto the bottom of the pole. These are used just so you don't sink into the snow and mud, and you can keep a proper position with your pole. The next one is the gravel and dirt basket, which is the solid circular disc. Again, this is just used so that you don't sink into the gravel and dirt when you're placing your poles. The next one can be called a booty or a rocker. These are really great for harder surfaces like asphalt, indoor running tracks. You could also see another option for the rocker, or we call it a flat tip. This one is also great to be used for asphalt or indoor running track surfaces. And last but not least, just the carbide tip at the end of your Nordic pole. This is what you want to use if you're out on natural trails where you would have grass and soil. All right, let's talk about the adjustment of the poles themselves. Most Nordic poles will have an expander system, either one or two expanders. So the best option will be to start at the bottom of your pole, and it usually takes one or two twists to loosen up that expander. Sometimes they get a little bit sticky. Once you do that, extend the bottom one out as much as you possibly can. Generally, there's a symbol or a marker showing you where to stop, and tighten there. Just with good practice, making sure that your hands are on the pole themselves and not the adjustment system. Okay, taking the next adjustment, if you do have that on your pole, and adjusting to where you are going to be at that 90-degree from the back of your heel position. Okay, Adrienne's going to show you, there's a piece of colored tape on the Nordic pole. This is just a really good tip if you're going to be out in different terrain. You can have your multiple adjustments, whether you're on flat, even ground, you could have a colored marker. If you're going uphill, you could have a different piece for a different marker. and then your adjustments are more fluid and easy to find. Okay, we're going to get into it now. So a few small warm-up movements that you can do. Okay, with a nice soft knee bend, lean into the poles. Each of these warm-up moves can be done for about 45 to 60 seconds a side. Okay, starting with some leg swings. And some alternating toe taps. And ankle rolls. Great. And a pelvic loop with your biggest range of motion, going counterclockwise and clockwise. Okay, then taking both poles together in your hands out front for a canoe paddle. And the last one we'll share is a torso twist. You can hold at shoulder height if going overhead is uncomfortable for you. If you're okay with overhead, reaching overhead and tipping side to side. Great job. Now let's get into the basic techniques of Nordic walking itself. All right, so first off, you just want to find your comfortable stride. So just walking back and forth, thinking about your arms swinging freely, opposite arm, leg, as you travel along. Once you feel comfortable with that, take the poles sideways in your hands, and again, just very slowly going through your stride, thinking about your same arm swing position, your same leg position, trying not to alter anything or think about it too much. Once that feels comfortable, we're gonna put the hands through the wrist straps if you have them, and if you don't, just lightly grasp the poles with 2 fingers. From here, we're just gonna drag the poles behind as we walk. Again, just thinking about that nice, comfortable stride that you started off with before you held the poles. Great. Okay, now here we go. Once we feel comfortable, it's time to plant. So with each stride, we're planting the pole to propel forward. With the flat, even ground, we're planting the pole behind at the opposite heel. Okay, with uneven terrain, you're using the poles like a second pair of legs. So rather than planting at the back of the heel, we're planting more in the middle of that opposite foot. We're gonna feel our weight shift over to the pole a little bit more with this uneven terrain technique. Once you've mastered the planting of your pole, we're gonna think about slightly pushing down and back. So a little bit of a release back behind. You'll feel through the back of your upper arm and the tricep area. And last but not least, the push off itself. So after you plant, you want to think about walking through your stride. So the chest stays open and the hips move forward in a nice, relaxed body position. We hope these tips help you in recreating outside in Whitehorse and the surrounding areas. Happy walking, Whitehorse.